Hi, this is Jeremy Fenster for Talmud Brilliant. I grew up in New York, so one of the things that I always loved watching, maybe many of you also did, was watching the police direct traffic. The cops on the cops in the box, directing that flow of traffic. So you stop, you come, this way, that way, very powerful and very direct. What did they do? They show the flow, the direction. That same thing we have in the Talmud. We don't have cops, but we have signs. We have function words. And those function words will tell you the flow and the direction of the decision-making process. So I want to talk about those a little bit. Before I get to them, I want to talk about, well, maybe not the cars, but the parts of the decision-making process. Many places, if you'll go to learn Talmud or decision-making, you'll get the parts. The questions is one of the parts. The answers, another part. The criticisms, the kashas, the terutzim, the resolutions, the proofs, the steeras, proofs against. That's all good. And we're going to teach you that well. But I want more. To get more out of our learning, to get more understanding, I want to teach you the foundations of those. And the foundations of those are usually things that go on naturally in our minds. And if you know those, it will add tremendously. It will add to your depth of understanding. And I'll explain at the end of the video, in about 2 minutes, what that really will give us. So one of those things, one of the foundations will be, for example, will be those signs, the direction signs of how you do it. So I want to give you some examples of those signposts, of the words that are used. So you have a word pshita. The word pshita is a criticism. It's a critique. It's an objection. What is the objection? That's obvious. What you told me, there's no reason for you to tell me that. That's obvious. I know that already. We hear that all the time. We do it naturally in our minds. What part of our thinking process, where is that connected? That's about communication. It's not about content. I'm not disagreeing, I'm not critiquing or criticizing somebody for what they said in terms of the content of what they said. I'm doing it in terms of the communication. I'm saying to them, that message, that communication, what you just said is not necessary because I already know it. It's redundant. You told me already. So that's very interesting. That makes it much more real to us to put that where that is. In fact, when a person tells us, you told me something that I already know, you're really telling them, I agree with you in content. You're already telling them, I agree with what you're telling me. I'm agreeing with you so much that you didn't need to tell it to me already. That's important to know. There are rules of communication as opposed to rules of content. In rules of communication, one of the rules is you're not allowed to say something that I already know. That is not a new idea. That's a foundation. Another example. The example will be in the Talmud we have the word Dilma. Perhaps. Maybe. I've said for a long time that I think one of the most powerful words in the English language is the word maybe. Someone tells you something, they want to sell you something, and you say, could be, maybe, perhaps. You've totally taken away the wind out of their sails. So where does that fit in? So that really will fit in when we get into the foundations of the structure. We will understand and we will explain how that works in terms of that's in the world of proofs or rejections of proofs for and proofs against. That's really a proof against. How that works, that's down the line to explain to you. But that's the foundations. And the strength of these videos and this whole educational process, this project, is not just to give you the structures of the questions, the answers, and be able to identify this is a this and that's a that, but it's to understand the foundations of that. And that's a tremendous strength. Those are the strengths we want to teach you. Why? The ultimate thing that we want to get to when we would like to learn from the Talmud is value decisions. That's what we're interested in, how they made their value judgments. To be able to go to that greater understanding or the deeper understanding of the value judgments and how they made their decisions, which is much more real life. Because when a person has to make the decision, parents have to decide, what school to send their child to, even if they're deciding something simple, where to go out for dinner, whether to go out for pizza or whether to go out for hamburgers, whatever it is. It ends up as value decisions. To be able to do that, we have to go into the foundations. That's what really will make Talmud real and alive for us. To know that, to be able to get to that, which is really the prize, you have to know not just the structure, but the foundations of the structure. And that we're going to teach you. That's a positive thing that you'll get in this educational project, which is not necessarily in others. So we hope you keep coming back. Hit the like button, the subscribe, go over to our website, sign up there for more information, send us an email. We want to hear from you, things you like, things you want to hear. And till we talk again next time, remember, keep your mind moving.